Mayor. Well, I'm interested in what fellow members have said, and clearly it is a contribution to a debate on democracy in this council. My point would be that clearly we want to address this. We want to have the public involvement increased as and beyond what it is, and as I say, it's likely to see so many of you this evening. But essentially it is that the space available, the time available, and the interest and emphasis upon what the public have asked by way of question should be paramount for that section of the meeting. And secondly, we have just a few months ago implemented and introduced our statement of community involvement. I think that I understand where all the other members are coming from, but we do have a lot of involvement and participation issues being raised this evening. I think we, to a certain extent, have to work them in to a combined situation, a combined emphasis upon the public, and a combined operation of the council, both at council meetings and elsewhere. And that is why, as you will see later, I am proposing a council constitutional working party to move as quickly as possible to deal with this and other issues and bring them all together so that councillors and in particular public feel they're properly involved, participating, informed and able to know what is going on and contribute accordingly. That is why I understand what everybody's saying, but I think that is why it ought to be brought together under that group and reported together back to the council as soon as possible.
Councillor Ruth, can I now invite Councillor Meredith to speak to
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Although I have listened and can understand the leader's response, I think we as councillors should recognise that when our residents actually bring a question to council, it is because it is very important to them and to their neighbours and to the borough as a whole. And I think if that is the case, we should acknowledge that importance by accepting this amendment so that all councillors, not just the lead member, but all councillors can actually respond and contribute and comment on matters that obviously really matter to our residents. So I'd ask you all to support this amendment. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Right, any other speakers? Could I now put the amendment to the vote? With those in favour of the amendment, please raise their hands. And those against? Right. Right, can we now move back to item 4, participation. Sorry. Is anybody who wants to speak to the original motion or move any further amendments? Can we take a vote on that? Is the recommendation agreed? Agreed. Thank you. Right, now we move back to item 4, public participation. As you know, the Constitution provides for 30 minutes of public participation at council meetings. On this occasion, I will exercise my discretion on timing, but you will see that we have a very full agenda this evening, so it would be greatly appreciated if you could bear this in mind. We have 4 members of the public who have given notice of their wish to raise a question and 5 others who would like to make statements to the council this evening, details of which are set out on the order paper. The first question is from Mr. Chris Parker. Mr. Parker, could you come forward to the seat where you speak from? And amplify any particular aspect of your question you'd like to draw to our attention.
Mr. Mayor, where should I come forward?
long walk.
Have long legs. Mr. Mayor, councillors, thank you very much for altering your agenda so that I have this opportunity to speak to you. Those that have come from Shelford and elsewhere tonight very much appreciate that. So
You realise you've only got 2 minutes.
I will be quick. Councillor Wicks, we have received your extensive reply. We're sorry to learn that the scoping has started. However, we're very pleased to learn that we will receive the report and be able to contribute to the final recommendation. We believe you face many negatives and will conclude, after the expenditure of ratepayers' money, that the 4 previous rejections were correct, and you will find yourselves rejecting one further time. My question is, there is an excellent alternative use for this site. It was first put to GBC in 2008, and that is for a mooring basin at the end of the redeveloped Wey and Arun Canal and at the top of the River Wey. You may be aware that at the present moment there is no river traffic coming to Guildford up the River Wey because there is nowhere for the boats to moor. And as a result, Guildford does not have the river tourism that it should have. One benefit. The other benefit is that the Wey and Arun will need to have at its northern end a turning basin because otherwise the entire project is bereft. There is no other site available. What I am saying has been supported clearly by Wey and Arun. It is supported by the National Trust, who have written to the Council. It is supported by the National Trust. It is supported by the Council for the Protection of Rural England, Shelford Conservation, Wey House School and Gosden House School. May I ask the Council please to consider
30 seconds.
this excellent alternative use, and we would thank you for that. Mr. Mayor.
Right, Councillor Wicks, would you like to respond to Mr. Carver's question? I remind councillors that copies of the lead councillor's written response to all questions are being asked this evening. I'll set out to you.
Yes, well, thank you very much indeed, Mr. Parker, for talking to us and for putting forward that proposal. I think members of the Wey and Arun Canal Trust have already communicated with the council about this proposal, and it is a very interesting one. As you say, the scoping work is already underway. The council, in a quite different context, is statutorily obliged to address the accommodation needs for gypsies and travellers, and we are looking at that site in that context. There's no decision taken on whether or not that site is to be used or is suitable. The scoping work will give indication when that is completed. We have no idea how that will turn out at the moment. But thank you very much indeed for coming and putting it in the picture on the alternative use. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wicks. Could I just remind all councillors to use their microphones? You're on television now. Trying to speak directly into them. Right, Mr. Parker, you've heard the response to your question. Would you like to ask a supplementary question? Okay, we'll move on then. And Councillor Wicks has responded. Second question is from Mr. Keith Meldrum. Mr. Meldrum, may I invite you to come up to the lectern and amplify your aspects of your question? I could draw down Mr. Meldrum, is Mr. Meldrum here? No, inside. Okay. We then move on to the